Hi, I'm your host, Jürgen Strauss from Innova.buzz, and I'm excited to welcome today to the Innova.buzz podcast, all the way from Florida in the USA, Tom Palladino, who's a pioneering researcher in a really interesting field. It's scalar energy. He's inspired by the work of Nikola Tesla. He's dedicated his life to exploring this non physical energy and developing practical applications that challenge the boundaries of traditional science. So it's going to be really interesting today. Tom's passion for uncovering the mysteries of scalar energy is matched only by his commitment to sharing its benefits with the world, and he's going to share them with us today. Welcome to the Innova.buzz podcast, Tom. It's a great privilege to have you as my
Hey,
guest.
my pleasure. Thank you, sir.
Now, before we learn all about scalar energy, Tom, tell us what's the impact you aim to make in the world?
Um, the key is to help people. Anytime I research, I want to be able to help people. I want to change the world. That's the entire point of technology, of research, to help people. So with this groundbreaking technology, the end goal is to see a change in the world for the better. That's what I want to do.
Hmm. Yeah. It's always inspiring, isn't it, when the thing that you're excited about, the thing that lights you up, is actually has a practical application that can help people. Yeah.
Yes. You're right. That's the entire purpose of invention. Of I'm an inventor, I'm a theorist, and with technology, I'm also a humanitarian. So the two go hand in hand.
Hmm.
Technology and any type of, if you will, human endeavor, they should go hand in hand. I am an inventor. I'm also a humanitarian, and with this tool, we will change the social order for the better.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's take a step back before we start learning more about scalar energy. So, your background, it's have you always been an inventor and a technology tinkerer?
Yes, I have. And specific to this science, it's a new science. This is not electricity. I was introduced to this at a young age by reading about Nikola Tesla and a few other scientists. So, to be clear, what I'm speaking about is not electricity. This is a new branch of physics. And that's what really grabs me. The possibility of this new branch of physics, of this new invention, of this new technology, that will be, if you will, head over heels compared to what we have today.
Hmm. All right. Well, explain to us what scalar energy is, and let's see if we can do it for
Yeah.
those of us that aren't scientists, that everybody understands. And how does it differ
Yeah.
from electric and electromagnetic energy?
Thank you. This is simple. This is very simple. All energy originates from the stars. Look at the universe, macro, micro viewpoint. Where does the energy come from? From the stars. That's it. So scalar energy is the energy of the stars. Scalar light is from the stars. Now we all realize that, whether we remind ourselves of that or not, everybody's a scalar light expert. Everybody's seen the stars, everybody's seen photographs of the stars. That's the source of energy. So scalar energy, scalar light is the initial energy of the stars. And sometimes scalar energy breaks down into electricity and magnetism. But we're going to speak about the primal force, scalar energy, the energy of the stars. Now, with that in mind, if the stars flood the universe with energy, they do, then everything in the universe has to partake of that action. What's fundamental? Energy, light. What type of light? Scalar light. So, what is the underpinning of all activity? Scalar light. Scalar light, the first principle, is responsible for all action in the universe.
Hmm. And of course, when you say stars, I mean, we've got, I don't know, billions, trillions of stars in our own galaxy and then beyond. But of course, we've got our very own star right in front of us, so to speak, that
Right.
and clearly there's energy there. I mean, we feel that every day, right? We
Yes.
go out into the sunshine, we feel the warmth, we see the plants growing as a result of that energy. So is that the same thing,
Yes,
or is it?
it is. Yes, it's identical to that.
Hmm,
But we have to realize that there's two energies. Yes, electricity and magnetism exist, but there's an energy above that, scalar energy. So what am I saying? This is a scalar wave. This is a photograph of a scalar wave. That's what the energy looks like as it initiates from a star. It's a double helix. And then sometimes this energy breaks down into a lower form of electricity and magnetism. So I don't choose to work with the lower form. I choose to work with the primal form, the initial form, scalar energy. That's a double helix. That's what I want to work with.
Okay. All right. Well, explain to us. Well, first of all,
Okay.
what are some of the practical applications of this? I mean, obviously it's there, right? It
Correct.
exists. That energy is there. We're
Correct.
influenced
Correct.
by it. We have no
Right.
control over it as yet. When you talk about the energy coming from stars or the sun, um, how can we utilize this? How can we work with this if we understand it better? And what are some of the practical applications?
That's the key now. That's where the invention comes in. If this energy is ubiquitous, it is, well, why aren't we using it? How do we employ it? Through instrumentation. Behind me is a scalar energy instrument that can capture that energy, harness it, and then redirect it. So here, this is the point of the humanitarian concern. Let's harness this energy for our benefit, for our betterment, to improve our lifestyle. And that's what I'm doing. So here's the practical application. In the realm of informational health, quantum health, I've developed this instrument to improve what I call informational health, scalar light physics, improving our template, improving the information we receive. So, to be clear, I'm not working with people, I'm working with their information field or their force field. And the reason I work with their force field is that that force field dictates everything. So I don't want to work at the chemical level. I want to work at a higher level of intelligence or information. So follow me now. This instrument works by information only, and it works by the information on a person's photograph. My photograph has my force field or my informational code. When I place my photograph inside a scalar energy instrument, my instrument now is experiencing scalar energy or information, sending my soul, mind, and body information. That's important because we're now directing, we're now instructing. We're not working at the level of effect, the cause, the chemical level. We're working above that of instructions. I would much rather instruct a disease than try and manipulate the symptoms of a disease. Okay, now, what do I mean by that? When I place my photograph inside that instrument, the energy can pick out a disease signature. The energy, this information field, can pick out a virus, a bacterium. The energy field on my photograph will report an autoimmune condition, will report cancer, will report any type of ailment. When I'm working with this energy, the energy corrects the intelligence of disease. Everything has intelligence, including disease. My photograph is the information field that holds that information, that holds the disease signature. This energy, scalar energy, will be able to work through that information field and correct disease signatures embedded in my force field.
So let me try to break this down and understand it a little bit better. And I'm a scientist at heart, so I'm sort of keen to understand these things and figure out, well, how does it work? Um,
Yeah.
so if I've understood this correctly, what you're saying is there's a connection, and I guess this, in some ways, quantum physics would predict this. There's a connection between that photograph of you, which is a physical representation of your likeness. There's a
Yes.
connection between that
Correct.
and your actual complete being. So your body,
Yes.
your physical body, your soul, and everything inside you, including any parasites, diseases, or um, I guess DNA or malfunctions that might be there, which could be part of a cancer or something like that. And the stars, the scalar energy that's around in the universe. Have I got that
Yes.
right?
That's that's correct. That's correct. Why not work it at the level of information? Why work at the chemical level? I'm going to give the audience a for instance. I'm going to hold up architectural plans. Okay. If you're an architect, you start with plans, a template. You start with instructions, intelligence. Thereafter, you build the physical body, the building, the structure. So if an architect starts with plans, why why shouldn't I start with plans? The plan for soul, mind, and body. Now, this is not medical science. Medical science starts at the chemical level. I don't do that. I start
Mm.
at the level of intelligence. I don't want to work at the chemical level because it's not a first principle. Chemicals are not fundamental. I start and only operate at the level of intelligence, light which is fundamental. I don't want to substitute fundamental control over intelligence, over information, for a chemical response. I have nothing against the medical community, but that's not my work. I have nothing against, if you will, chemical engineering. Yes, we are chemical beings. I don't work at the chemical level. I work at the informational level. I would much rather work at the informational level. It's much easier, and I have command over information. Scalar energy is light. Light never makes a mistake. Working at the informational level with light, I can never make a mistake because there's no human interpretation.
Hmm. Okay, well that's for the diagnosis. I can understand that at some
Correct.
level. Um,
Yep.
Going to the next level, then let's say you diagnose some condition in a person
Yep.
that needs addressing because it's potentially life threatening.
Yep.
How does
Yes.
your scalar energy device work for
Mhm.
that healing process, if we call it that?
Okay. I'm going to demonstrate. This instrument is on. If I hold a light bulb in my hand, there's so much energy from the instrument, it will illuminate the light bulb.
Mm.
So the point I'm trying to make, a lot of energy is coming off that instrument. Scalar energy. It's scalar energy. It's not electricity. Here's another. This is in a plastic packaging.
Yeah.
So it illuminates objects. Okay. There's a lot of energy, scalar energy, emanating from that instrument. Now follow my thinking. If we could see it, energy is invisible. That's what we would see. That's the double helix that would emanate from the instrument. That type of energy. Now, what does that remind you of?
Mm.
Recently, this year, I've perfected a technique using this double helix. That's what scalar energy is. It's energy in the form of a spiral. It's a double helix spiral. Many people who complain of cancer or tumors are sending me photographs. I contend that this is perfect energy, perfect instructions. If I'm going to work with a person and send perfect instructions into the information field, then I should be able to perfect DNA. Now, notice the congruence, notice the ratio and proportion of a scalar wave is exact to that of DNA. This is my contention. This is my theory. This is very important. I believe scalar energy causes DNA. I believe scalar energy, the double helix spiral, creates the double helix spiral of DNA. If this is perfect information, then perfect information in a scalar wave should correct imperfect information in DNA. If I can take perfect instructions working at the informational level, correct DNA, then I should make great advances against cancer and tumors.
Mm.
Okay. Recently, people have been sending me photographs and they complain. They tell me their condition is cancer or tumors. By the way, I never meet people. I only work with their photograph. Now, after working with people who have developed cancer and tumors, these people are telling me they feel better. Many of them have told me they're in remission. The only thing I've done is taken their photograph, placed it inside the scalar energy instrument, downloaded that motif, downloaded perfect intelligence into their quantum field. I only work with photographs, hoping that I can correct any problem, any mutation in their DNA in the information field, always acting upon the DNA in the photographic force field. So if I was working in the medical community, I have to act upon DNA chemically. Remember, I don't work at the chemical level. I work at the informational level of light. So I act upon a person's DNA with light, not with a chemical. And the axis that I have is a person's photograph.
Yeah. Well,
Okay. So what are the
yeah,
what are the benefits?
coming back.
The benefits.
Okay, we'll get
Go
to the
ahead.
benefits in a moment. I think there's some obvious benefits there that you've just highlighted. Clearly, if somebody's suffering from cancer and they go into remission
Yeah.
simply by working with you, that's got to be a huge benefit. The what I guess I'm curious about the changing DNA. I'm not aware that that can be done chemically. I mean, the chemical treatments for cancer essentially are killing off the rogue cells or mutated cells that cause the cancer, that cause the damage. There is
Yeah.
technology being developed, and I can't remember the exact name of this, but it's with advantage of AI. This has made great leaps where by I think it's surgical intervention, DNA can be manipulated and DNA can be altered. So if there's an error, if you like, in the DNA that's causing some serious condition, that potentially can be manipulated. I'm not sure where that is in terms of clinical trials and so on, but I'm aware of that technology, and there are companies there that are raising huge funds in research in that. If I understand what you're saying correctly, is what your technique is a little bit like that, except it's a non-interventionist one. You're working with the scalar energy. You're transporting that energy, if
Yes.
you like, to use kind of a non-technical term, transporting that energy
Yes.
into the individual's DNA to correct any imperfections that there might be causing a disease.
Yeah.
Got-
That's my theory, but I can't prove it. You're right. Yes. Yes. Only working through light. Now, why do I keep emphasizing that? Light is fundamental. There's no human reasoning with light. When I speak about scalar light, this double helix, that's not subject to human interpretation. That's fundamental. Now, I have nothing against medical science, but that's a different approach in which you're working with human ingenuity, you're working with invention, you're working with human reasoning. There's no human reasoning with this energy. The energy does all the work.
Yeah. Okay. Well, going back to the benefits, so tell us a little bit more about the benefits. Clearly, there's if somebody can be cured of cancer very easily, that's massive.
Yeah. Okay. This is a new program. I call it Divine Intelligence. I started this year in March of 2024. So I've only been at it for 3 months. After 3 months, most of the people who've sent me their photograph who had cancer no longer have any sign of cancer. They're in remission.
Hmm.
I've worked with many people, including animals that had tumors. The tumors have shrunk. Now, that's the beginning body of evidence. To be clear, this cannot be proven by medical science. This is not medical science.
Yeah.
This
Can
is
I
a
take a
new
step back there?
science.
Can I take a step back
Yeah.
there? Because you've just piqued my curiosity, and I was going to ask you about because you must have a lot of skeptics, and what you say to the skeptics. But before I ask you that, I'm going to go back because one of the thoughts I had around skeptics, if you give a person belief that whatever disease is ailing them can be cured by whatever means, if they believe strongly enough that it's quite likely that the placebo effect can kick in, and it's been shown to work in various aspects. So that's one thing. Now, you said something there that I thought, hang on, that can't be placebo effect. You've worked with animals, right? Animals,
Very good.
I'm guessing, are not going to
Very good.
know
Yes.
what you're doing. Um,
Yeah. Very good. Very good. So let's address your points. Point number one, placebo effect is very important. By the way, a placebo effect, the way you project is really a scalar intention. Thinking is a scalar intention. So yes, people can self-heal. Placebo effect is real. Does placebo effect factor into my work? Of course. Never would I want to negate it. True. Number two, for instance, I've been working with animals. Those animals, are cats, dogs, are not aware that they're being treated by way of their photograph. Now, treating an animal's force field is no different than treating a person's force field. A person or an animal has a force field. I can access the force field. Again, it's non-chemical. I worked with a dog 2 months ago. The dog had a tumor. Obviously, the dog is not aware of scalar energy research. The dog's tumor has shrunk. The dog had a tumor on the leg. The dog no longer limps, and new skin has reappeared where the tumor has disappeared. So the tumor has disappeared.
that's impressive. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
thank you. It is
yeah.
impressive. It is impressive.
And
Now I'm gonna give a shout out. I'm gonna show a parallel here. Allow me. There was a great scientist by the name of Antoine Priory. He was an electrical engineer who developed plasma tubes, scalar energy plasma tubes. I took this from Wikipedia. This is Priory's plasma tube, in which it developed such a strong scalar wave that when he placed people underneath this plasma tube, in his estimation and working with the French government, people were cured, as well as animals, of cancer. People were cured of cancer by this plasma tube. And what was the requirement? The plasma tube was turned on, people and animals were situated and were laying down on this table, experiencing the scalar wave or the plasma energy. Now, this is documented, and to that point, even the French government supported, subsidized Priory's research, Antoine Priory.
mhm.
And it's
And
it's detailed, it's
yeah,
chronicled.
and what period are we talking about there?
1950s and
Okay.
1960s. Now, he ran out of funding eventually from the French government. The instrument broke down. He was never able to repair it. It's very expensive. But in my estimation, working with this plasma tube, Priory was able to cure animals and people of cancer. Then we have to ask how. If that's true, what was the animating force? Well, this instrument did not touch anybody.
Hmm.
They were simply placed in the vicinity of that instrument. So it's a force field. It's not a chemical process. It's energy.
Okay. All right. Well, let's come back to that question around skeptics. You must have a lot of skeptics, and what are some of the questions you get, and how do you respond to the skeptics?
I First of all, I accept skepticism. As long as you're an adult and you can speak to me in an intelligent fashion, I'll accept your skepticism. And by that I mean I want to open this up for discussion. Now, to be clear, this is new. Nobody's ever duplicated my instrument. Nobody has ever proven or disproven my work. So to add to that, very few people have ever considered that there's two energies in the universe, or this energy is responsible for DNA, or responsible for any disease signature, or can correct any disease signature. So there's a lot of hurdles to overcome. Now, I've been at this all my entire life, so I don't expect people to understand this overnight. What's the point with skepticism? You can be skeptical as long as you want, but look to the results. Maybe we can explain this science right now. Frankly, we can't. It's a new and emerging branch of physics. I don't expect people to understand this, but look to the results. And if the results are favorable, then let's proceed. What's stopping
Hmm.
us?
Okay, well, I guess that's a fair point. And most new scientific inventions are pretty hard to understand, unless, as you say, you've been working in that field for a long time. And I often encounter things where, and I think I'm quite open, and yet I'm a scientist at heart, so I'm always looking for the evidence. Uh, and a lot of the times I get to that point of saying, I just don't understand this. And to be honest, I'm
Mhm.
still at this point with scalar energy. I don't quite understand. Um, and yet, as you say, the results can speak for themselves. Now, with
Yes.
those results and with what you've described, you've shown us the device you've got behind us. How can this be turned into a practical application from the point of view of um, helping lots of people around the world? Obviously, people come to you and they say, "I've got this issue. Can you help me?" And you work with their photograph. But how can we replicate that so that it can reach
Yes.
millions?
Thank you. We can scale it, and I've already scaled it, and I'll tell you how. Now, remember, you have to think outside the brick and mortar construct. This energy can transcend, scalar energy transcends time and space. So we're not limited by a particular location. We can work with one photograph. This is what I mean. We can work with 100 miniaturized photographs. Today in my laboratory, I work with 500,000 photographs.
So that's a half a million,
So
half a
the
million different people. Yeah.
Yes, that's correct. And sometimes they're group photographs of family
Hmm.
members. So what's the point? In one day, this instrument behind me could easily work with 10 million photographs. So we've already scaled it. We've already solved replicating it. Yes, I want to work with people around the world. One of my goals, by the way, is to work with 1 billion photographs a year. Is that possible? Yes. If people get involved and they start sending us millions of photographs every day.
Hmm. And how does that work in terms of a unique? So you have to group together people that have a unique issue or an issue common
Not
to
not
those people.
not necessarily. I'll tell you why. The energy is all knowing. I believe this is divine energy. So regardless of what type of informational disease a person has, this energy will identify and dictate the remedy for autoimmune disorder because it's information, for cancer because it's information, for a skin condition, for arthritis. When I work with people en masse. I don't have a specific program for each disease
Hmm.
because that's the chemical level. When you're working at the level of information, there's only one consideration, energy. And let energy look for disease signatures. So what's my point? I want to advance this so that this scalar wave, this first principle, can work with any disease signal, any disease signature, cancer, autoimmune, arthritis, Parkinson's, any type of, if you will, skin condition, pain, back pain, digestive problems. If this energy is all knowing, I contend it is, I contend it's from God, and if God can correct signatures of disease, then there's no limit.
Okay.
It's
So,
all encompassing.
all right. Well, if if the scalar energy essentially has its own all-knowing, I don't know,
Yes.
fundamental kind of energy, what's the focus of your work? Because I'm thinking you can't influence scalar energy. You're the conduit
Correct.
bringing it to those people through the images. What's the focus of your work?
Correct. I'm simply assisting in this process, but I'm not the animating force. So what's the
Hmm.
point here? Education. I'm ready to go. After 50 years of theory and development, research and development, I have a standing wave, a perfect instruction of standing. energy. These perfect instructions can download into the force field, the informational fields of people. I'm having great results. What do I want? I want the world to send me millions of photographs. That's what I want.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go. Let's not waste any time. Let's go.
Excellent. All right. Well, beyond the kind of scientific and technological aspects, do you have any personal experience or philosophies that drive this research?
Yeah. I believe light energy is fundamental. Anybody with a scientific background would make that conclusion. There's only one concept in this world, in the universe, that's fundamental: light energy. Chemicals are not fundamental. People are not fundamental. My car is not fundamental. So where am I going with this? Why not go to the top of instructions, not the result? The chemical field, the biological field, is the end result. I don't want to work at the level of cause. I want to work at the level of, the level of
Mm.
effect. I don't want to work at the chemical level. I want to work at the highest level, the level of light, information, which is a first cause. Okay. So if we can control the instruction through a scalar wave, then we'll eventually be able to mandate control nature. Control the first principle, control energy, you're in command. You can control nature.
Mm. Okay. Well, that I guess raises for me another question, which I'm sure you've got a view on. As you develop and promote this scalar technology and you get to that point of we can control nature, what what ethical considerations come up there, and how do you
That's
think we should address those?
that's the most important question moving forward. If this instrument is that strong, and if the energy is really a first principle, again, if something's a first principle, then it dictates nature. That's just cause and effect. You're going to have to be morally correct. So great technology and and morality must go hand in hand. That's crucial moving forward. That's a brilliant question. It's crucial moving forward.
Hmm. And how do you think we need to address that?
Uh, one instance at a time, one individual at a time. I have to consider myself a humanitarian and a good person to order to work with this energy. Now, why would God give me this wisdom if God did not deem that I have the right intention? Why would God give me this sway of power? I'll be very blunt. I have tremendous power with these instruments. I have a sway of power with the scalar wave. Why would God give me that wisdom? I believe He trusts me.
Hmm. And how do you ensure though, or how do we
Yeah,
as a community, as a race, ensure that the technology is used responsibly? I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about at some point this technology is going to be available to more than just you. And
you're
yeah,
right.
so how do we?
You're right.
What
You're
can we
right.
do to ensure it's
Well,
used responsibly and benefits humanity as a whole?
I don't think this should ever be released to the general public because once that happens, you have no control. So what do I advocate? I'm trying to put forward this notion, this theory. I'm trying to show good results by testimonies. To answer your question, it's going to have to be a small group of humanitarian people, people that can monitor, control this energy. I would not let this out to the general public.
Hmm. And who governs? Who determines that? That's my question because
That's
I
going to be
think we've got
God's
plenty.
yeah, that,
Yeah.
that's going to be God's decision. God will appoint whomever will receive this knowledge. And to be very clear, I come from a Christian background, and my advances I attribute to God. I could not have done this without God's wisdom. Why is it that this gentleman, Antoine Priory, back in the 50s and 60s, according to the French government, he had great success, and according to many people, including scientists, when people were placed underneath this plasma tube, They were cured of cancer. Now, why haven't we heard about that?
Hmm.
The French government subsidized Antoine Prairie. Why haven't we heard about that? It's suppressed. So we're getting into a realm of physics here that can change the social order. I'll make a statement: scalar energy, once it's allowed its full play, and we're allowed to, if you will, use this energy into the fabric of society, it's going to change everything. The social order will change with scalar energy.
Hmm. That's a big statement. All right. Well, before we move on to the buzz, our innovation round, which is kind of a change of direction a little bit from here, I've got one more question that sort of has been on my mind as we've been speaking, and that's how can we as individuals, if we understand this concept, how can we kind of take that into what we do in our everyday life to look after our well-being, to look after our um, being the best we can be, and achieving what we're capable of achieving.
Hear me clearly. Everybody is a scalar light expert. What is scalar light? It's the light of God. It's the first cause. Scalar light is a thought or a feeling. Now consider, what gives rise to thought, thinking, deduction, computation, creativity? Where does it come from? It's instructions. If these are divine instructions, our thoughts are divine instructions. Now, many people have realized that the way they think is the world that they create for themselves. That's true, because the way I administer divine thought, divine intelligence, is dictates the outcome that I want. If I tell this divine intelligence to negate the herpes virus, it does so. Divine intelligence. Well, we all have that divine intelligence thought. That's where a placebo effect comes in. And the way we think, the way we feel, thinking and feeling, our emotions are also scalar waves. Now consider, this energy transcends time and space. Nothing can stop it. A thought transcends time and space. Nothing can stop it. This gives, if you will, support to the notion what you think of, what you project is what you inherit.
Hmm.
That's correct. A thought is a scalar wave. A brain wave is a scalar wave. Everybody in this world is endowed with scalar energy. Yes, I know it's from the sun and the stars, but we all incorporate that energy. Thinking and feeling is a scalar wave. When you think or feel, you're projecting scalar energy. And ultimately, you create your life and you impact the life of those around you. All of us now have this moral responsibility once we realize what a scalar wave is. The way we think, the way we feel, our actions are scalar actions. Now, all of us are called to be humanitarians, and all of us are asked to guard that great gift.
Hmm. Yeah, that it comes back to the concept in quantum physics that everything's connected, right? So, um, and the butterfly effect, which if a butterfly flaps its wings somewhere, it can trigger huge reactions. So it that speaks to the same thing,
Yes,
doesn't it?
yes, it does. Yes, it does. And who would ever say, who could ever fathom that this subtle energy that's invisible, you can't feel it to the touch, that's emanating from every star, is responsible for the instructions of the universe? You have to have architectural plans for the universe. If these are architectural plans that build a building, then this is the architectural plan that builds the universe.
Hmm.
And it's invisible.
Excellent. All right. Well, let's switch gears and move on to the buzz because fascinating as this conversation is, I think you've spent a lifetime trying to understand scalar energy and probably achieved some level of success. I don't think we're going to understand it in in a short space of time here. So we'll come back to where people can find out more if they're interested in digging deeper. But right now, I'd love to move on to the buzz, which is our innovation round. Same 5 questions I ask of every guest. And the idea is you'll give us some really snappy, insightful answers that'll inspire the listener to go and do something awesome today as a result.
Okay, great.
All right. What's the number one thing anyone needs to do to be more innovative?
trust in yourself. We all have that God-given ability.
Mm.
Okay, and start maybe just with one example. Start if you have to start small. Start small. I I'll speak for myself. My life as a creator and inventor, as a theorist, I work on one issue at a time, and I focus on that issue. That's why I'm successful, and it's the accumulation of those successes that one issue at a time leads to a broader understanding of scalar science. So to be more innovative, just have a goal, one or two goals at a time, and focus on it
Mm.
and keep focusing on it. Don't give up on it.
Yeah, yeah, it's great advice. And starting small, I love that. It's and little successes add together and can lead to something much bigger, right?
Yes, thank
All
you.
right. The best thing you've done to develop new ideas.
Trust in God, I pray. I think a lot of my good ideas come from prayer. I ask God for wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
Much of my advances here are mysticism. I ask God for the gift of mysticism or infused knowledge. And this has never been done before. How did I do it? God gave me the wisdom. There is no textbook. Don't look for a college textbook. You're not going to find it.
Mm.
I trust in God. God gave me
Yeah.
wisdom.
Okay. Excellent. All right. Our favorite resource you use most often.
When I'm working with this branch of physics, Nikola Tesla and Galen Hieronymus, those are two experts in scalar physics. Nikola Tesla and Galen Hieronymus. I actually had the opportunity to work with the Hieronymus family, a group of brilliant inventors. They're all gone now. But those are the two experts that I relied upon.
Mm. Yeah. All right. Not familiar with the Hieronymus family, so I'll have to check that out. But
Yes.
yeah. All right. Well, that's working with or um, building on the wisdom of others that have gone before. That's always something that I think we overlook a lot, and yet we do it all the time. So great advice. Okay, now what's the best way to keep a project like this on track? I mean, I'm imagining there's a
Yeah.
lot of rabbit holes you can go down and get lost in.
You're absolutely right. Over the past 10 years, I've concentrated on quantum health, working with people through their energy field, through the force field, through the photograph. So that's the key focus. You have to have laser-like focus. I have designs for taking energy and multiplying energy and to power the world. I'm not there yet. I have ideas, I have theories, but I have to wait. I'm actually pursuing some new engineering for these instruments. I'll let you know in 3 or 4 years if we can light up a city. Actually, you'll see it. I'll light up a building for you. You'll see it.
Excellent. Oh, we'll look forward to that one. That'll be a big thing too. Okay, and finally, the number one thing anyone can do to differentiate themselves.
We do that automatically. Just be yourself.
Yeah.
I don't know why we try and homogenize. Here I'll speak for the United States. For some reason, people like to go to one coffee shop or a popular place to go shopping, or they like to have a particular diet that seems to me to be homogenized. Well, why not pick out the diet that suits you? Why not drink the coffee that's best for you? I'll speak for the United States of America. We're somewhat of a homogenized society to the detriment of creativity. Why not strike out on your own path? Why not be a
Hmm.
trailblazer? Why not decide upon your own path? In life and in practice, I don't follow the crowd. I trailblaze. You won't find me at the same coffee shop every day.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's great advice, and I love that you said we all do it by ourselves. So there's no need to try to be different. The and coming back to the scientific principle, that DNA that's inside of us, it's every one of those is unique. So which makes us
Yes,
who we are. All right. Well, thanks. Yeah.
exactly.
Thanks for getting us through the buzz round. Now, where can people find out more about you, about the work you do, about scalar energy, if they want to dig deeper and learn more? if they want to get in touch and say thanks for what you've shared today?
Yeah, my website, scalarlight.com, SCALAR light. That website has a compendium of my articles, my research, uh, as well as so many thousands of testimonies. Visit the website, then you decide. You make a decision if you think this is a new branch of physics. By the way, we also offer 15 days of free sessions on the website. So you could email us your family photographs, and we'll treat everybody in their information field for 15 days. It's a free service.
All right. Well, there's something that people can try out for themselves. Excellent. Finally, Tom, as we wrap it up, what action would you like our listener to take out of our conversation today, apart from checking out the information further if they're interested?
Yeah, be happy with your station in life, and everybody can make a gigantic impact to this world. And the number one detriment in this world, in the world that we live in, is we fight. That's right, we fight. If 8 billion people would stop fighting, this would be
Yeah.
paradise. Okay, you heard me correctly. So stop fighting, and if you see a fight, try and break it up or avoid it. The world united is incredible, but sadly, we continue to fight. If 8 billion people would unite, it changed the world overnight.
Hmm. Okay. And we can all make a small contribution to that, as Tom pointed out. Well, thanks so much for spending time with us today, Tom, and shedding some light. I hope that's not too bad of a pun. Shedding some light on the science of scalar energy and sharing your information with us today and those testimonials. I've certainly learned a lot more. I'm still curious. I'm still don't understand it, but you've pointed us to your website, so there's a lot of information there to dig into, and there's a couple of things I want to follow up on as well. So thanks for sharing all of that with us, and all the best for the future. And I look forward to staying in touch and seeing that city block light up one day through your scalar energy
You
instrument.
will. You will. Thank you for your time. Great discussion. Thank you.